Boom. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Welcome to the 5 fragrances that have grown on me the most in my collection. You see, in the fragrance community, there's a phrase that people often throw around called love at first sniff. That fragrances you just smell once and you immediately fall in love, that you're immediately gravitated towards. And those are just fragrances you really appreciate and you wear quite often from the very first time that you smelled them. Other fragrances, though, you really just have a strong distaste for. You don't like it. It doesn't sit right with you, or maybe it doesn't mix well with your skin. And so you just don't really care for it. But in last week's video, when I was talking about Invictus Aqua, it made me think of this week's video, just thinking about fragrances like Invictus Aqua that I really didn't care for at first, but now I've grown to at least appreciate and respect. Not saying that I'm absolutely head over heels necessarily for all 5 of these, but I certainly like them a lot more than what I did in the beginning. And we'll just cover these 5 in today's video. And so, hope you're excited, and let's get to smelling. So, the first fragrance I want us to look at here, PDM's Perseus. Now, this was a very interesting release when it came out. This was the latest addition to the PDM summer line, joining the likes of Sedley and Greenlee, which is among PDM's best fragrances in general. So it had some competition from day one, but this was very interesting. This had a very citrusy, grapefruit-forward opening, but they did it in a way that was unlike any other citrus fragrance that they had done before. Really and truly, this reminds me of a Dolce & Gabbana's Light Blue Forever. This opens up with grapefruit, blackcurrant, bergamot. It's got some vetiver, green mandarin, geranium, and then dry wood, cashmere wood, ambergris, balsam cedar, and tonka bean in the base. It's really a rindy, sour, and tart kind of citrus, just like in Light Blue Forever. Not sugary, sweet like Afternoon Swim, not necessarily straightforward and in your face, but it's really sour and rindy, and it's a ripe grapefruit. And I really didn't like it at first, and I really felt like this fragrance is very linear. Didn't really change. It was just kind of a sour citrus bomb the entire time. But I've smelled it and give it some wears recently. And honestly, I'm kind of starting to come around to it a little bit. Maybe my nose has matured and adapted. Not saying that I'd go out and buy a full bottle tomorrow. But honestly, PDM's Perseus, very, very solid choice for spring, summertime. I'm not sure if it could hold a candle to the new Castley, which I still have to get my nose on, but really, really solid option. And it's starting to grow on me, so I think pretty solid choice here from the House of Parfums de Marly. Well, let's just go from one high-end, expensive fragrance company to the next. Let's go to Tom Ford, this being Cherry Smoke. Now, many of you probably remember me receiving this bottle from Sensual Obsessions. This is Kevin's exact match of it. And Kanye and I smelled this originally and really just felt like it was too feminine, too unisex for us. That this is just too perfumey of a cherry almost, too sweet, too loud for us to ever wear. But this reformulation is kind of more closer to the original. It really has that smoky kind of touch. And honestly, I've really started to come around to this. It opens up with some sour cherry saffron. With the mid, you get some leather, olive, apricot, and then smoke, woody base, and cypriol oil to round everything together. And really and truly, the sour cherry in the opening is done really, really well. Of course, I remember not long ago smelling Mind Game's French Defense, which has a really addicting cherry note. And I just think my nose is starting to come around to citruses like cherry and raspberry. And this is done in a really good way. It lasts a long time. I think this would really be good for the cooler months, especially going out. You're not going to smell really like anybody else. And I think this one, unlike some of their other cherry releases, like Electric Cherry or something like that, it has more of a masculine touch with that leather, with that smoke. And I think it's more suitable for more men. And so, honestly, Mr. Tom Ford and even Kevin from Sensual Obsessions, this stuff I'm starting to come around to and appreciate, especially with it being a more masculine cherry scent, unlike some other unisex kind of versions you might find on the market today. So not bad. Cherry Smoke slots in at our number 4 spot. And I think if you like cherry, if you like saffron, if you like kind of a leather smoky or almost like a black leather jacket kind of feel, I think you could really appreciate this fragrance. And so kudos to Cherry Smoke. I have to say it has grown on me over the years. I can't lie. I might receive a lot of backlash in the comments for this fragrance right here. Dolce & Gabbana's Light Blue Sun. And not even just Light Blue Sun. I'm just going to be straightforward with you guys. The entire light blue line I could have put in this list. I just chose Light Blue Sun just for this video. But this is really interesting because especially in the last couple years of my kind of fragrance collecting journey, I have not been as gravitated and as drawn to very oceanic, aquatic, like right on the beach fragrances, like a lot of Dolce & Gabbana light blues are, and even like much of the Acqua di Gio line, which I know that's a very hot take because the light blues and the Acqua di Gios of the world are probably the 2 most popular and beloved and cherished summertime fragrance lines ever, like ever in the fragrance community, especially for men. Just didn't really care for a lot of it when it came out. I really thought Light Blue Sun was going to be great. That's why I picked up this decant, because I love citrus, but it really kind of takes almost like a sunscreen suntan lotion kind of feel. Not to spoil the rest of the video, but it is kind of similar to another fragrance you'll see, or even like a more masculine aquatic City of Stars from Louis Vuitton with way less citrus. But this has grapefruit, bergamot, ginger, coconut, rosemary, cedar, musk, vetiver, oak moss, and vanilla. I mean, this smells like you're right on the beach and you just put on some sunscreen or some lotion. And that might not sound appealing, and really it wasn't appealing to my nose at first, but I've really started to come around, I think, to these fragrances and appreciate what they're trying to do, and especially just the hold they have on the summertime men's fragrance department. Like the Acqua di Gios and light blues, they get compliments. They're versatile. You can wear them year-round, daytime and nighttime. And there's really not going to be many flankers from either the light blue line or the Acqua di Gio line that your average person will smell and just immediately develop a hatred towards. Pretty straightforward, pretty crowd-pleasing and appealing. And honestly, maybe I'm just starting to adapt to more suntan lotion, sunscreeny, kind of beachier fragrances. Because this, a fragrance we're going to talk about later, and City of Stars are all very solid. Now, granted, I still would put this does not even compare to City of Stars or the other fragrance I'll discuss at the end of the video, but I can at least appreciate it. And really and truly, if the occasion called for it, I could see myself spraying on a light blue, especially this Light Blue Sun or a Summer Vibes or the Light Blue Intense, and just go out and wear it. And so really here, solid, and shout out to Dolce & Gabbana for kind of rising up the list here lately. So this video has already had a good bit of controversy, but we're going to get even more controversial. Louis Vuitton's Imagination. And this sample came straight from the Louis Vuitton store in New York today. So this video is coming out a couple hours later than usual for that exact reason. But really, Imagination's an interesting one for me. I remember, I'll share a quick story. I remember being over at Canyon's house maybe 8 months ago, 10 months ago. And he got a sample of decants in the mail that had Imagination, that had Blue Talisman, and that had Bohemian Lime. And all 3 of those fragrances came in, and I initially loved Goldfield & Banks' Bohemian Lime. Absolutely thought it was wonderful. It's like a lime Ventus. Super good. Imagination and Blue Talisman, I had a strong distaste for. I really thought this Imagination was just, honestly, just mediocre. Just smelled like tea, it smelled like laundry on like a Sunday afternoon, and that's all it smelled like. And I was like, this is just a unisex tea laundry smelling fragrance, like a clean linen or sheets. And I just didn't really think too much of it. But it has really grown on me a bunch over these last 8 to 10 months. Truthfully, it's had arguably, even though it's number 2 on this list, it's had arguably the biggest jump out of the 5 fragrances here tonight in terms of something that I really didn't like to now something that I love. And now that I have Meteor, I would say that Imagination or City of Stars will probably be my next fragrance purchase from the House of Louis V. So really can appreciate what this is trying to do. It's so crowd appealing. Nobody's going to dislike this. And honestly, for this kind of scent profile, 10 hours on my skin, really great projection and longevity. And this is classy, this is mature, this is elegant. And I could wear this on any occasion, whether I'm actually doing laundry in my house on a Sunday afternoon after church, or maybe I'm going into a business meeting or going to the office or anything, or maybe a nice elegant dinner or special occasion. I could still rock Imagination and nobody would be upset upon smelling me. And so really, really can appreciate now what they're trying to do with this. I am really a big fan of Imagination. And me and Canyon, even to this day, still share laughs about how much I used to hate Louis Vuitton's Imagination compared to now, how much I love it. And now that I got this decan in the mail, I'll be wearing it more often. So shout out to Louis Vuitton. We have now saved the very best for last. Sensual Obsessions Blue Jewel, a.k.a. Ex Nihilo's Blue Talisman. If you guys remember me getting this fragrance in, I smelled Ex Nihilo's version and Sensual Obsessions version side by side, blindly, like couldn't see either one, but just smelled them both back to back. And I chose this version over Ex Nihilo's. Honestly, this stuff is truly, truly special. As I mentioned, I got a decan of this in the mail when we were over at Canyons, smelling Imagination, Bohemian Lime, and Blue Talisman. And I liked Blue Talisman, not a lot. I thought Bohemian Lime was up here. Maybe Blue Talisman was kind of in the middle. And then Imagination was the worst of the 3. But really and truly, this has had a massive leap in terms of my preference and liking. This has went from something that upon first smell, I said, yeah, this is a citrusy, kind of lotiony summertime fragrance, to now it is undoubtedly a top 10 to 12 fragrance in my entire collection. Like, you can come back to this video, you can mark the exact timestamp right here where I'm saying this. Come back to this video in a couple months when maybe we hit 2.5K and I drop my top 10 favorite fragrances ever video and do a real long special review. I guarantee you this will either crack into the top 10 or be right there at the cusp of the honorable mentions. This stuff is great. It's got pear, bergamot, orange, ginger, orange blossom, George wood, musk, ambroxan, cedar, and alkali wood. Really, really great stuff. Really versatile. It's sweet. It's unisex, I would say. It's still kind of got a masculine hinge, but it's sweet, kind of loud from the pear. Kind of has that suntan lotion, sunscreeny kind of vibe, just like Light Blue Sun does, and just like Louis Vuitton City of Stars. But I really, really like this. Honestly, I would put this and City of Stars right in kind of the same tier, and then Light Blue Sun is below those two. But I can really appreciate what this is doing. I wear this so often, at least on a weekly basis. I've actually really enjoyed layering this with Sedley. If you guys have both fragrances, Blue Talisman and PDM Sedley, layer both of those together and see what happens, because they really work together nicely. And it will be a very common layering duo that I use and get a lot of use out of during the summertime. So that's number 1 on this list. Love me some Blue Talisman. It just works, and it's just so appealing. Love the citruses, love the sweetness, kind of summertime fun edge that it carries. And that's why it does come in at number 1 for this week's video. But I've done my list. Now I want you to do yours. Drop down in the comments any fragrances that you initially didn't like and now you've developed a strong love or at least liking towards. Drop those down in the comments. Any other video ideas that you might have. Of course, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're still on that road to 2.5K subs. So help us get there. Hit the subscribe button and the bell. I'd appreciate it very, very much. And stay tuned. All throughout the next week or two, we're going to continue to be coming out with fragrance content, devotional, golf vlogs, and such each and every single day. So stay tuned for that. You guys stay safe, and God bless.